What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
It was intangible, but it had a strong resemblance to immortality. The nature of immortality is extremely inexorable, and it is certain. There didn't seem to be any way that someone like that could die, except from extreme circumstances like the loss of magicules or the destruction of the heart core. In other words, a spiritual life form was immortal, immune to disease, and capable of surviving death solely through willpower. Because it could elevate a person to the same level as such a supernatural figure, even if only briefly, I was sure that mythical grade gear had exceptional performance. While at the same time, I could see why Wisdom King Raphael-san had suggested Albert. Ranga and Shion were comparable, and Benimaru had developed on his own into a spiritual life form. No, I was more confident that they would resemble one another. Although Gabble and Geld weren't quite there yet, I don't believe that providing them with equipment of mythical grade would improve their conditions. Albert was unquestionably the best option. I had the impression that it was a match made in heaven. It was impossible to forget about Adelman's pet dragon either. I made the decision to give the death dragon some sort of reward since it had been working so hard. I was unsure about what to do, but I now had a plan of action. A name. The easiest way to please a monster is to name. Even though it is risky, I now have Wisdom King Raphael-san on my side. It would undoubtedly keep things secure and regulate the flow of magicules.
Proposal. In this instance, the individual Adelman and the Death Dragon are already connected. The process of naming by soul consumption is advised rather than building a soul corridor.
Wisdom King Raphael-san made an unexpected idea with this. How much soul, incidentally, is lost in this situation?
Reply. 5,000. Do you wish to proceed? Yes, no.
If there are only 5,000, that is much safer and more dependable. In order to turn the souls of gluttonous King Beelzebub into magicules, Wisdom King Raphael-san claimed to have examined them. I felt safe because of that reassurance. Okay, let's move on with that. I approached the death dragon and stroked its head. Even though it appeared fairly frightening, it was actually such a cute guy. It seemed very nervous.
I must also reward you. Thus, you are now Wenti, the Hell Dragon King.
After that, I devoured the souls and named it. There was an abrupt change at that time. The death dragon's enormous body, which measured more than 20 meters, shrank steadily until it took the appearance of a lovely woman donning a dark-colored robe. Even though I questioned what it was, I didn't let my guard down. I suppose everything is possible when dealing with monsters. I was there, and I gained a lot of knowledge. The facts I've discovered so far prevented me from worrying at the time. Without displaying my fear, I kept my unshakable attitude of, this is, of course, what should happen. I'm still making a lot of effort.
Oh, my lovely, cherished God, I am so moved by the benefits you have bestowed upon even my lowly self.
Oh, sure. Of course I was aware of her fluid speech. I've only given her a name so far. There was also the present from Adelman, of course. She seemed to be misinterpreting, in my opinion. I hope she doesn't misunderstand.
Oh, well done, Death. No, Wenti.
My master, God has not abandoned me.
Yes, our faith has paid off in this.
Yes.
What a lovely romance between the master and the slave. I feel as though I'm being ignored, but I'm delighted for them. As a result, the ritualistic recompense provided to Adelman and the others was successful. However, naming by consuming souls is extremely practical. Initially, I had no idea how many magicules I would lose if I attempted to name dragon lords of higher class monsters. The quantity of magicules I had was limited, even with Wisdom King Raphael-san. By naming Testarossa and others, I used up all of the magicules I had been amassing through gluttonous King Beelzebub. Veldora could have been relied upon, but he appeared to be hesitant to do so. I decided it would be a final resort because it was difficult to persuade him to change his mind. If naming causes me to enter a low-level active state, sleep mode, that could be a concern. I wasn't sure how long it would take me to recuperate now that I had more magicules overall. It was a moment of war. Usually, such a risky bet would not have been possible. But this time, it wasn't an issue. Ramirez would probably be pleased if I did this, right? Earlier, I had been pondering how I should express my gratitude to her. In essence, I had the notion of naming the 4 dragon lords who served Ramirez. They may be named in this fashion even if they had no link to me. The inspiration for this thought came from Wisdom King Raphael. There ought to be more than 20,000 souls left since I have plenty of them in my possession. In the first place, Ramirez's collaboration was the only reason I was able to secure such a vast number of souls. Ramirez, on the other hand, had told me, I don't need souls, I have no use for them, and she had given me all of them. This sounded like a fantastic idea because I was still feeling horrible about it. I'm hoping she'll be happy with it. I would keep in mind to contact her later. And with that, the Labyrinth group's ceremony came to a close. There were now just 2 troublesome kids left as the celebration entered its final stages. They were Shion and Diablo, the first and second secretaries, as should go without saying. I was certain that they wouldn't storm out based on what I had observed so far. But I still had to be cautious. After all, we're talking about Shion and Diablo here. It wasn't a stretch to argue that they were the 2 most perilous. The damage would be severe if they both went on the rampage at once. And the leaders weren't in a position of trustworthiness right now. For these reasons, Shion is where I would start.
Shion, you have been chosen to be the warlord. I'm hoping that starting today, you'll behave more coolly than ever.
Of course. I am the most composed and mature woman in the world.
Who exactly are you talking about? Although it seems like you're talking about yourself, your sense of worth is way too high. Shion had recently improved her self-control, which I found impressive. She had a long way to go, though. I should watch her closely in the long run.
Don't lose control. I'll accept it as is. Keep strict tabs on those nearby, and safeguard us all.
I gave Shion the souls after saying that. After that, I was shocked to see that nothing had changed at all. Shion's face was filled with confusion as she gazed at me. We exchanged long looks, but nothing appeared to be changing. Did it fail? I didn't feel like I was rewarding her because of this, and the situation was getting awkward. I was all of a sudden in trouble. After all, I didn't have anything else ready. I pondered my options when a startling occurrence happened. Shion remained unchanged while the Yomigari dozed off. A couple of the members of the enigmatic Shion fan club also appeared to be having trouble staying awake. Although the gifts varied based on the person, it seemed like they were all provided in some way. Shion herself appeared to be okay, although that was weird in and of itself. There was no use giving it too much thought, right? Because they were Shion's immediate subordinates, I suppose this sort of thing just naturally occurred. It therefore appeared preferable to leave the entire Shion tragedy alone.
So, Shion, please let me know if you sense something is amiss with your body.
Yes. By the way, Rimuru-sama, I would also desire a special rite, much like Datta.
Shion started muttering something similar while squirming. Okay, sure. The ritual was performed correctly, but I got the impression that it was little more than bestowing titles. Although some could argue that it's sufficient, Shion didn't require a new weapon. I guess like Datta?
Okay, then let's show you how to prepare a unique cuisine.
What? So you're saying that I cook better than Shuna-sama?
Definitely not.
How on earth could somebody reach such a ridiculous conclusion? Shuna, who had been listening next to me, was horrified, but when I promptly denied it, she abruptly changed her demeanor. Shion was unsatisfied by my rejection, but she nodded her head in approval and returned to the line after I whispered to her that I would also extend the kitchen. Dealing with her was simple. The Yomigari, Shion's minions, had developed in an intriguing manner though. They had evolved into a specific kind of spiritual life form. It was intriguing to see that the Yomigari all had their own bodies, unlike a demon. Despite having physical bodies, they resembled the demon race. More significantly, their ability to reproduce was still intact. They'd been reborn as an entirely new species. To put it another way, they resembled a brand new species of death Oni. Shion's Oni factor appears to have emerged more powerfully, and their power has significantly increased. Some of them have even gained the physical augmentation mechanism known as the extra skill Divine Force. However, they lacked horns. Despite having less magicules than the Hiryu, it was challenging to determine which of the two was more powerful given their immortality. If I told anyone that these individuals were previously hobgoblins, they wouldn't believe me. Indeed, the biology of monsters is so enigmatic. This was how Shion's ritual came to an end, yet it was unexpected that she remained the same. Well, the last person's turn had finally arrived. Diablo has problems. For quite some time, he had been fidgeting impatiently. Is it now my turn? What about right now? That impression had been conveyed by his smile, which appeared to be filled with expectation. To be honest, if the ceremony was called off, Diablo was more likely to lose control than to go on the rampage. I'm confident that whomever stopped this would lose their lives. Okay, then, let's get going.
Diablo-kun.
Yes, Rimuru-sama.
This makes me feel uneasy. He would unquestionably become one of the nation's strongest as a result of this transformation. He would not only be the strongest of my subordinates, but he would unquestionably be stronger than I was. He had admitted to himself that he couldn't defeat Zijin, but it's likely that he was constrained by some circumstances. He had single-handedly defeated Jiwoo and Bernie, who were both formidable foes, as evidence. Diablo seemed to be the most superior, despite Zijin's apparent superiority in terms of might. In other words, Diablo continued to be the most powerful of my minions. Even as it is right now, Diablo could likely be stronger than me if he was serious. In actuality, the person I was when I first awakened wasn't even close to the one I am now. It would be fascinating to watch Diablo evolve.
The title, Magic Lord, belongs to you. I'm hoping you'll keep leading the demons as my sword in the future too.
The 3 demon girls in particular.
Leave it to me, Rimuru-sama.
I'm serious, I beg you. I gave a quick nod before performing the rite on Diablo. The devil was then born. The evolution appeared to have ended in a split second. I initially believed it to be a failure, much like Shion, but it turns out that wasn't the case. He simply had excellent control over all of the energy and did not display it at all. He was fantastic, as one would expect from Diablo. One of the most potent creatures on Earth, Diablo had evolved and become stronger. A part of his power passed through the freshly formed soul corridor as well. This is really, truly horrible. The extent of his power is beyond my ability to even begin to comprehend. He had grown to be the strongest being under my control now that Benimaru and Shion had not yet evolved. No, quite the opposite. He had the same number of magicules as I did, and I thought that, given his experience and skill level, I was no longer a match for him. My nasty hunch actually seemed to be coming true. However, I was not at all unhappy because I had a hunch that things would go in this direction.
Fantastic evolution, Diablo.
Thank you so much for your kind words, Rimuru-sama.
That's it then, huh? His character remained the same as before. It would have been intriguing to observe whether he had desired to get out of this predicament. Even if that was a secret, I was prepared to engage in a major struggle if that had occurred. Diablo, however, seemed to be attempting to acquire a new skill despite the fact that his growth was finished.
Why are you doing that?
No, it's simply that during the most recent combat I came to understand the value of an ultimate skill. Guy always boasting about this power, so I ignored it in the past, but now I've changed my mind and will exploit it in whatever way I can.
Oh, I see.
Is this man truly a fool? That's what it means to be a smartass, right? It seems like I'm surrounded by a lot of individuals of that type.
I'm going to use this chance to learn it so I can tell him about it when we next encounter each other.
Though he dislikes when Guy brags about it, he doesn't mind doing it himself.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. Shout out to the new members of AnimeKouhai supporters: Faiz Mansour, Martin Ramos, Mika Espinosa, Sedney Jan Romentizo, Andrew Serot, Tandang, Mika Pekarinen, Guy Endsley, SPT Mighty, Marl Barsha. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.